Hello and welcome to Compass Corner. My name is Marco Nunez, Senior Vice President of RightPath Benefits. We are the most experienced and largest supplier of benefits to high turnover hourly wage workforces. And we're doing another partner spotlight today. Today we're spotlighting our partners, SVP. Chris and Bill, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you've heard us talk about this before, but one of the things that we really seek to bring to our clients value-wise is not only our experience in high turnover hourly wage workforce benefits, but also applying that experience to selecting partners that help with things related to but outside of benefits that have proven the same track record of experience and understanding the special unique needs of these high turnover hourly wage workforces, but also that match our integrity and our customer service focus. And SVP certainly fits that bill. We've known these folks for several years now, and they've been a huge help to a number of our clients as they're navigating, vendor selection for new software platforms. Obviously, we've all experienced it over the last decade or two. The landscape has just become more and more complicated, especially when it comes to software solutions. Those complications obviously get increased exponentially when you start adding in higher turnover, a much greater increase in the amount of data flowing through the systems, which means just more points for something to break down. So, gentlemen, Chris, Bill, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you give us a quick introduction and tell us a little about SVP?
Great. Well, thanks so much for having us, Marco. We really appreciate this opportunity to get on here and talk with you about all these great things that you've outlined here. And Bill and I are kind of have parallel lives here. My name's Chris Ligeb, and my partner, Bill Ehrmantraut. We are the co-founders of Strategic Value Partners. We go back, as I said, parallel lives. We're both Michigan State Spartans. We were roommates down there, and we somehow both ended up in Lexington, Kentucky. We were both had the opportunity to be sales engineers out at a Toyota assembly plant in Georgetown, Kentucky, for about 10 years. And this is, learned a lot out there together on really a whole bunch about lean manufacturing process, standardized process, and it was quite the experience for us. But we both we always wanted to have our own business, so we did some consulting with Toyota and a couple other businesses, and it didn't take too long to explain how we got into staffing, but we got into staffing, and we so in 2001 or two, we had an opportunity to start out there at the Toyota plant with our staffing company called Omnisource Staffing. And so over the years, we built that to a $45 million business. It really started out in the automotive industry and then a lot of distribution centers but like you talked about, very, very high volume. We had 2,500 employees, ended up exiting and selling in 2017. And then, once you're in staffing, you don't get out, as you find out, as everybody knows. And so we had the opportunity really to do some consulting. We had some technology partners that we had actually done an implementation with, and I'll give Bill all the credit. We had done a really good job implementing that technology solution. And they said, hey, if you could kind of teach our clients that are onboarding, how you internally set this up and all the process and everything you did, you would really have a good business. So that's kind of how we started, very organically that way. And that was the genesis of SVP. So I guess we've been going about 9 years now, and it's been a good run. We do. With SVP, we do a lot of help folks look at their current processes, try to find some opportunity. We also help with, if they're looking for technology, we help them vet that technology. We're agnostic in the marketplace, help them with partners, the best partners in the business, how to go ahead and put those in the tech stack. And then really implementation services and optimization, workflow optimization. And we've recently been doing a lot of user groups. For each different software company, we have a user group. We meet monthly, get peers together and kind of talk about best practices within there. So
Love that.
I know that's a lot. I'll stop right there.
No, it's great. That's great. No, and I love that. And obviously I can see how it developed organically for you because, this is whether it's marketing or technology for a company, there's just been such an explosion. It's become so complicated. Wind the clock back 30 years ago, you're running a business and your job was to know about your business. And that was basically it. Nowadays, you've got to be an expert in all of these fields that are rapidly changing. I mean, they're changing so rapidly that it's nearly impossible, especially for a smaller or medium-sized company with resource limitations, to be able to do it all on their own. What are some of the common challenges? And again, we always talk about, staffing and high turnover hourly wage workforces, because again, especially when you're talking about technology solutions, you don't know what you don't know. And you all have a very similar path of experience as we do, which is you've been in this world, you've seen where the bodies are buried, so to speak. You've seen where the common challenges come up. And most companies just aren't able to see around those corners for themselves. What are some of the common challenges that you see, again, especially in this high turnover hourly wage workforce when it comes to technology vendor selection, implementation, all that stuff?
Yeah, I guess I'll take that one, Marco. I think what we see is that in this world right now, recruiting really becomes a numbers game, right? How many people can you pull in, process, and get back out to work? Mm-hmm. And you have to have reliable systems that are going to accompany that. Mm-hmm. A lot of these systems, they're piecemeal, they're not integrated. Mm-hmm. You don't have all your data in one home, which is what Chris and I really like to focus on with these guys. Mm-hmm. When you get segmented like that, it's very difficult for the smaller to mid-sized guys to get reporting, because a lot of times you need third-party integrators to consolidate your data and give you the accurate reports. Just different things like being able to integrate with partners such as yourselves that can help high-volume businesses. Really getting onboarding done quickly and correctly. The compliance thing is a big deal, right? Even if, let's just say you have a 1,000 temporaries out in the field, you're probably recruiting 250 to 500 people a month to keep 1,000 people in the field. All those people have to be processed correctly, the same way every time, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and it's all got to happen in that system. So you have the ability to meet all the government requirements, to meet all their tax requirements, to meet their benefit requirements, if that's the case that you're looking at. Yeah. And so, finding these systems that are out there, and also the processes to utilize those systems. That's where we see a lot of failures too, is people have these great systems, but they don't really learn how to use them correctly, and they find themselves kind of lost. And a lot of times, they'll come to us and they'll say, "Oh, this system sucks, and I got to move to a different system." And we say, "Well, are you doing this? Are you doing that?" And you dig down a little bit and you find that they're really not utilizing the system they have. They're doing everything in an Excel spreadsheet off to the side. And so, to us, it's really about process. And we dig down, we look at what they do, we analyze it, and then we adapt it to the system that they have. If the system is good, we try to keep them there. If it's not good for them, then maybe we'll tell them, "Hey, we need to go vet something else."
I love that.
But
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit deeper. What's the kind of, and I don't want you to give away all your secrets here, but what's kind of the special sauce for y'all? I mean, obviously at a high level, your experience and knowledge in this space equips you with what you need to understand what needs to be done. But when we get down on the ground, practically speaking, what does that look like? What's the differentiator that you all bring to the table for folks?
I think the devil's in the details for us. I think we spend an inordinate amount of time on the front end. I'll have owners telling me, well, why are you looking at that? We know what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, do you realize this? Or do you realize that, 3 of your branches are doing all this stuff differently?
Mm.
You got to look at what people are doing. And you also have to delineate what makes them special, what makes their business better than the one down the street. And you got to keep the special stuff, maybe enhance it if you can.
Yeah.
And you got to get rid of the roadblocks and the pinch points that they have in their processes.
What are some of those? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying that current state analysis for us, and we really, it's a marriage of both, looking at process, but business process plus technology. I think that's where we bring, both those. Sometimes some folks can be really good from the technology standpoint, but if you don't know the business case and all the things that flow out from that, then you can kind of be stuck. So I think a lot of our clients, like Bill said, they think they're like, why are you doing all these interviews and why are you digging in here? And then we give them a report and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that we were doing this so differently, and that how many manual processes we have when we thought we were pretty tech savvy. So I think it's pretty eye opening, and I think that's a really important part of. I love telling as we put together projects and we do the current state analysis and we give that report. Usually very eye opening for the operator.
Love that. Love that. And Bill, I want to go back to your comment on pinch points, and then after that, let's wrap up. I'd love to hear one of your favorite success stories that you've had recently. But on those pinch points, what are some of the common kind of bottleneck or pinch points that you guys find?
Again, people don't realize what they have in their systems is a lot of times, and they'll instead of pipelining people in an ATS, they'll be moving them over to a Excel spreadsheet. Or, one of the big things we see is salespeople don't want to participate in the CRM within the ATS. They want to have their own list of customers they're pursuing and different businesses they're pursuing, and utilize that list off system. Well, that's all well and good, except when that salesperson leaves and the company is left with no prospects and very little information. We see a lot of different pinch points in the systems, but normally it's a lack of knowledge of the features of the system they're using.
Yeah, it sounds like it. How often would you say, and again, just a rough percentage guesstimate, how often is it that they're just unaware of or not harnessing what's possible with their current systems versus that they just have a solution that's unworkable for their situation?
I would say probably 90% of it is there's an answer in the system. Wow. It may not be an exact one. It may be a slight workaround, but there's a better answer in the system normally. To these guys' credit, the systems change and are adapting so fast right now, especially with the AI components coming in. Yep. And it's hard to keep up. I mean, when you do an implementation, you spend months on it and you get your system the way you think you want it. And a lot of people leave it there and keep doing work, right? Because that's what makes money. And they don't address it and keep it updated and get in tune with the ATS and what they're doing. That's an important function that we try to get them to continue after we leave. Marco, honestly, we've been called back on 2 or 3 projects, 4 or 5 years later now, since we've been around a while. We're working a new one right now where they were a client 4 years ago. They made a decision, and now they're reevaluating that decision, and they want us to get engaged with them some more. So
they didn't keep up on it. I think we go back to the Toyota days, Kaizen, or continuous improvement, as a tenet of the Toyota production system. And what we do when we get through a project with the clients, and the best ones, we have very many that embrace this. They've actually keep that core team, and they keep regular meetings, and they keep updating their workflows, and they stay on top of the technology. They go to their software companies' user conferences. They participate in these user groups. Oh my gosh, how powerful. They get together, and then they say, wow, I'm not the only one. And then they're like, yeah, the system won't do this. And then somebody says, oh yeah, well, there's a report right over here. You can get that very easily. So the best ones embrace what, it's all change management, getting used to, how to operate. And then they take that disciplined approach and continue to, continuously improve. Do not stop.
Yep. I love that. I love that example that y'all gave, because that's such a great proof point and highlight of the kind of service you all provide, that they would come back 4 or 5 years later. I mean, obviously for them, it was like, okay, well, we're at another decision point here, and we know who we need to bring in to help us with it. So that speaks volumes of y'all. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. We'll definitely do this again, throughout the year. And for anybody that's interested in connecting with the SVP folks, you'll find a link here at the end of the video that you can click, and they would be happy to talk to you if you've got any questions or anything like that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Hey, great. Thanks, Marco. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yep.